At my husband's funeral, I got a text message that changed everything. My phone vibrated, an unknown number. My hands were shaking. I read the words and the world stopped. I'm alive. That's not me in the casket. I looked at my 2 sons, standing right there, their tears looking more like an act than real grief. I texted back, "Who are you?" The response hit me like a ton of bricks. "They're watching. Don't trust our sons." My own sons, the only family I had left. One of them was a liar, but was the one in the casket even my husband? My name is Olivia, and I'm 66 years old. My husband, Robert, had his funeral on the quietest day of my life. We were standing by his grave, and I got a text from an unknown number that sent a chill right through me. "I'm alive. That's not me in the casket." My hands were shaking as I texted back, "Who are you?" The response hit me like a ton of bricks. "I can't say. They're watching. Don't trust our sons." My heart broke when I saw Derek and George, my own sons, standing there looking weirdly calm. Their tears seemed forced, and their hugs felt colder than a Midwest winter. For 42 years, Robert was my everything. I met him when I was 24 in a small Rust Belt town called Willow Creek, Ohio. We grew up on the same dusty back roads with big yet modest dreams. I cleaned houses to help my sick mum, and Robert ran a bike repair shop he inherited from his dad. We were broke, but we were happy. We had something money couldn't buy, real love. I'm telling you this story because sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you the most. If you've ever felt betrayed or had a gut feeling that something was wrong, hit that subscribe button right now. Don't let your inner voice be silenced, and don't let this story be the one you never finish. Subscribe now, and let's get to the bottom of this together. The first few years of our marriage were a struggle. We lived in a 2-bedroom ranch with a leaky roof. When it rained, we'd put pots and pans everywhere to catch the drips, but we were happy. Robert worked from sunup to sundown in his shop, and I sewed clothes for the ladies in town. When Derek was born, I thought my heart would burst. 2 years later, George arrived, just as perfect. We were a tight-knit family, or so I thought. As the boys grew up, things started to change. Derek was always super ambitious. He'd ask why we didn't have a new car like other families. George always followed Derek's lead. When Derek turned 18, Robert offered him a job at the shop, but he scoffed at it. "I don't want to get my hands dirty like you, Dad," he said. "I'm going to be somebody important." Those words crushed Robert. The years flew by, and to my surprise, Derek became a big shot in the real estate world. George followed him, and they both started raking in way more cash than we ever had. At first, I was so proud, but slowly, that pride turned into sadness. Visits got shorter, and phone calls were just quick hits. They'd roll up in fancy cars, decked out in designer suits, talking about investments and properties. They looked at us with a strange mix of pity and shame. "Mum," Derek said during one of their rare visits, "you and Dad should move somewhere better. This place is a dump." He was right. The house was busted, but it was where we'd made all our memories. The biggest change came when Derek married Sophia Albright, a woman from the city who didn't even try to hide her disdain for our simple life. She came to dinner in high heels that sunk into the dirt of our porch and a red dress that was probably worth more than our car. During dinner, she just pushed the food around on her plate. I overheard Derek whisper to her, "Next time we'll take them to a restaurant," and every word felt like a punch to the gut. George, for his part, stayed single, but was just as distant. "Mom, I gotta bounce," he'd always say. "Got a big meeting early tomorrow." Family Sundays became a distant memory. Christmases were stiff and formal. They'd drop off expensive gifts we didn't need and then leave in a hot minute. Robert and I grew old alone, just the 2 of us. "You know what the saddest part is, Olivia?" he said to me one night on the porch. "It's not that they have money, it's that the money has made them believe we aren't important anymore." He was right. We had lost our boys long before I lost my husband. Things got even sketchier when Derek and George bought houses in fancy neighborhoods. "You should sell this place and move into a retirement community," Sophia suggested. "There are some nice places for people your age." My heart sank. They wanted to send us to a home. "We're fine right here," Robert said, standing his ground. But I saw the look on my sons' faces. To them, we were just a problem they needed to solve. Then, Derek showed up with papers he'd already prepared without telling us. "This house is worth maybe $1,000, he said. "If you sell it, I can add some money so you can move somewhere better." To us, No place was better than our home. He also suggested Robert should retire from the shop. Son, working is what keeps me alive, Robert told him, his voice full of sadness. But they kept pushing. You're old now, George said with a harshness I'd never heard before. The audacity of them asking for an early inheritance while we were still alive left me speechless. Robert and I stayed up all night talking. He had a look of worry I'd never seen. Something's wrong, Olivia, he said. There's something darker behind all this pressure. He was right. I just had no idea how right. The accident happened on a Tuesday morning. Robert had gone to the shop like he always did. I was making his favourite lunch when the phone rang and the world stopped. Memorial Hospital, a voice said. Your husband has been in a serious accident. You need to come immediately. When I got to the hospital, Derek and George were already there. How did they know before me? I was the emergency contact. But in my panic, I didn't think about it. Derek hugged me. Dad is in bad shape, he said. The doctors say one of the machines at the shop exploded. George's eyes were red, but he seemed more nervous than sad. For the next 3 days, I lived at the hospital. My sons seemed more interested in talking to the doctors than comforting their dad. I overheard George asking about medical insurance and Derek on the phone talking about life insurance policies and beneficiaries. Mom, Dad has a life insurance policy for $50,000, Derek said. The claim process is already underway. My husband was fighting for his life, and they were talking about money. It was messed up. I don't care about the money, I said. I just want your dad to get better. But I saw a coldness in Derek's eyes. My husband was dying, and he was doing the math. On the 3rd day, the doctors gave us the most devastating news. Robert was in a coma, and his chances were slim to none. He wouldn't want to live like this, Derek said. The medical bills are going to be enormous, George chimed in. Again, money, always money. That night, I held Robert's hand, and his fingers squeezed mine. He tried to say something, but no sound came out. The nurses said it was just a spasm, but I knew he was fighting to tell me something important. 2 days later, he was gone. At the funeral, it was only Derek, George, Sophia, my friend Brenda, me, and the pastor. For a man who had lived 70 years in the same town, the funeral seemed empty. Derek said it was what Robert would have wanted, but it wasn't true. The whole thing felt rushed. It was at that exact moment, standing by his grave, that I got the text, I'm alive, that's not me in the casket. My heart stopped. I texted back, and the reply was, I can't say. They're watching. Don't trust our sons. I lied to Derek and went home to figure things out. I checked Robert's papers. I found the $50,000 life insurance policy Derek had mentioned. It had been updated 6 months ago, increasing the coverage from $5,000 to $50,000. Why had he done that? Then I got another message. Check the bank account. See who's been moving money. The next day, I went to the bank. Over the last 3 months, thousands of dollars had been taken out of our savings. The bank manager, Ms. Davis, said Robert came in person to make the withdrawals and that Derek was with him once or twice. I received another message. The insurance was their idea. They convinced Ernest he needed more protection for you. It was a trap. The evidence was piling up. My phone vibrated again. Go to Ernest's shop. Look in his desk. I went to the shop. Derek had said a machine exploded, but the place was spotless. No signs of an explosion. In his desk, I found a note from Robert, dated 3 days before his death. Derek insists I need more insurance, it said. Something doesn't feel right. I don't trust his intentions. I also found a sealed letter from him. My dearest Olivia, if you are reading this, it means something has happened to me, it began. He wrote that our sons were too interested in our money and the insurance. He said Derek had told him an accident could be fatal at his age, and Robert felt like it was a threat. If something happens to me, don't trust anyone blindly, not even our sons. The next day, I went to the police station. The sergeant, who knew Robert, said there was no report of a work accident or an explosion at the shop. He said Robert had arrived at the hospital unconscious with signs of poisoning. The doctors found traces of methanol in his blood. It wasn't an accident. It was poisoning. My own sons had poisoned their father. The realization hit me like a gut punch, and I knew who had been sending me the messages. It was Robert, from beyond the grave. Or so I thought. After all the pain and loss, what kept me going was the support of people like you. My story isn't just a story, it's a call to action. It's a message that we have to stand up for ourselves. If this story has resonated with you, show your support by subscribing. If you don't want to subscribe, please leave a comment telling me why so I can learn from your feedback. Your support and comments are the best way to help me heal and keep bringing more stories to light. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story.